Welcome to board meeting for Grand Blanc Township for Tuesday, November 2nd. And at this time, if you could join me with your pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Robertson, would you care to call the roll?
Happy to, yes. Trustee Hugo.
Here.
Trustee Fike.
Here.
Trustee Raridan.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Here.
Myself here. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes, present.
7 members present, a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for an approval of the regular agenda. Okay, motion by Ms. Hugo, supported by Dr. Raridan.
Raridan, support. Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes,
7-0, motion passes.
thank you. At this time, we would invite anybody from the public that would like to comment to come to the podium. Give you 3 minutes, and we ask just your name and address. We don't have any public comment? Okay, we will bring it back here to the board. And at this time, I would ask for approval of the consent agenda. Motion by Fike, support by White.
Okay, support by White, did you say?
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes,
Yes. 7-0, motion passes.
thank you. And now on to old business, and first item is our strategic plan update with branding. I know Melissa Roberts has been working hard on that. We have a committee that has also been working on this with Ms. Hugo, Mr. Fike, myself, Mr. Limita, and Ms. Roberts. I'm not sure who's going to lead off here, Mr. Limita or Ms. Roberts?
All right. Just a quick update on our township branding. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, as you know, we've developed our logo. We are currently working on some materials for our branding. So we've done business cards. Megan Delano from the fire department is working on a new residence guide that we're going to put on our website and also hand to our new residents. So that's pretty exciting. Just a welcoming package. And we are set to launch our new website in the beginning of January. So we're hoping to launch it here at the board meeting on January 14th. So we're very, very excited about that. That's been a lot of work, so it'll be really fun to see it all come together. And then one of the big things that we're working on currently is the signage for our community. So this is going to be all of the entrances as you come into the community. You have this in front of you, and this is what Action Traffic has designed for us. I think it looks nice and clean and simple. So actually, our branding committee is seeing this revised version for the first time. So and this is what we came back with. So everybody can kind of see it. So we're waiting for the quotes from them. They've looked at all the sites in the township where we would need the signs. So they're going to come back with a quote and let us know about the posts and the signage size based on the posts that we have. Some of the posts have to be updated. The other thing the branding committee is working on is entrance signs for I-75 in a couple of different locations. So we're going to look at some different ideas when we get together as a branding committee next time. Any ideas that you might have seen, even Scott this past weekend was somewhere and he sent us a picture of a sign. So anything that you see that you like, a monument sign, to brand the entrance of our community and let everyone know we're Grand Blanc Township. So And then we're also going to be working on a sign for the entrance of our building. That sign is pretty old, as many of you know, and it will be nice to have something new and refreshing. Does anybody have any questions?
We need something in front of our building as grand as the police department.
I don't know if we can do that, sir.
I think they know we have a police department in Graham Lake Township. I'm not sure they know we have government office.
Right?
We don't have that kind of money.
Are you considering, like on the overpass coming into,
So that's one option. So either a monument sign, like as you're coming up on Holly Road, or possibly one on the overpass. I mean, we've all seen those, and they look fantastic when they're over the, I mean, just to kind of label our community so people know we're here.
because I think Auburn Hills, I think they have.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It looks fabulous, yeah.
You drive down, I went down to Cincinnati this past week, and Ohio, for some reason, they've branded their exits. I tell you what, the money they put into the landscaping and the signage is impressive. I mean, it isn't just one. I mean, it's all different types and everything from on the overpass to, doing similar to Auburn Hills and what have you.
Yeah, and I was thinking about,
Go ahead.
I was thinking if, I don't know how much it would cost, like for the DPW, which, Jeff, if they could take care of the exits. I mean,
Right.
mow, and, I mean, a little better than it's done.
We actually do pay to have them maintained, and we probably can have Jeff tell us a little bit about that. But in fact, maybe you can tell us about that, Jeff. But in the meantime, while Jeff's making his way up here, stay there, Melissa, 'cause I have some questions for you. But Mark, you had a thought?
My understanding is that I'm not sure who's paying for it, but it's not a government function,
Paying for what?
the signage.
Which signage? At Auburn Hills?
Yeah,
It's their DDA, I believe, that paid for that. Yep.
okay.
But Jeff, we do maintain some of the exits, right now?
Right, we maintain a small portion, a few strips, Hill Road and 475, all of our expressway entrances, we do a little bit of mowing on right now. We don't do it, we have a contractor that does it. We did get quotes on mowing the entire exits, all of the grass all around them. And we got quite a bit of sticker shock whenever we saw that. So we've been searching for alternate funding sources since then. We are going to be going out for bids for mowing this winter, so maybe that'll leave way to cheaper prices too.
I'm impressed with Vienna Township. I don't know if you guys see their exit there, Vienna Road on 75. But the supervisor tells me that they spend about $65,000 on that exit.
Yeah, our quotes were somewhere around $12,000 a month to mow all of our exits. So it would probably work out to about $65,000 a year.
I like the idea of wildflowers, maybe. And I have seen some that kept them natural. You look at the exit for Square Lake Road, for example. They're not mowing that exit. What they did is just planted a ton of trees,
Right.
which I was kind of surprised with. I don't know who paid for them, but they have just enormous number of trees in their median and on the sides. And maybe it's so they don't have to mow. They're just going to leave it natural. But
Very well could be.
okay, so.
Thank you.
And then, Ms. Roberts, how many, the entrance signs, on all the, not on the expressway, but there's quite a few, isn't there? There's like 15 or 20 or something like that, right?
Oh, no, there's more than that. I think there's 31, 32, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And the signs we're looking at replacing with this would be the ones that say Grand Blanc Sesquicentennial, kind of the grayish,
Yeah, there's a variety. Yeah, there are a variety of signs out there.
right?
And I also did speak with Action Traffic today, and they said that they can do a mock-up for us of the sign so we can actually see it before we put it out there.
Yeah. The challenge is making it readable at, 45, 55
Yes.
miles an hour on on the roadways.
And that's why we feel the logo is so important, because once, that's the brand, that's the whole point of this, right? Branding and recognition, so people recognize who we are.
So like on water towers, police cars, fire engines. I think we have a water tower that we're going to be painting in the next couple of years, don't we, Mr. Sears? So look real nice on there, but something that's recognizable from a distance. But I want to make sure everybody realizes the work that Melissa's been doing on the website is enormous. Every department's been meeting with Ms. Roberts to go over what they're going to have on their page. The DDA is going to have a page of its own. So it's quite an exhaustive project that's being undertaken. But so just to say we're going to get a new website doesn't cover the breadth of what's going into it. But yeah, the welcome sign, it's our doorstep to Grand Blanc Township, and you'll hear me talk a little bit about what the DDA is doing a little bit later in the meeting. But when we have people coming into our township for the Ally Challenge, or coming here to meet with people at McLaren's headquarters, or meeting at Genesis, what have you, the impression we leave on them, or put on their mind when they're pulling in off the exit, is important, because those are the people that are probably going to invest here. It's probably not likely that we're just going to get somebody to move here from Timbuktu and say, I want to put my office in Grand Blanc Township. It's somebody that has a relationship with somebody who's here. And so we need to make sure that the people that are coming here walk away or leave here saying, gosh, I gotta look into that Grand Blanc Township. It looks like they've got some great things going on here. So thanks, Melissa, for all your work on that. Any other questions on branding? I'm excited about getting that out there and welcoming people with their new logo. And one other initiative that we were working on with our strategic plan is our Saginaw Street corridor improvements. And in your packet was a study that, I don't know, Mr. Lima, do you want to bring everybody up to date on what? We had a study done back in, what was it,
2008.
2008? Okay. And this is an update to it.
So what we did is we asked, as part of the strategic plan, and we had rolled that 2008 study out to the board a couple of months ago to show you, to see if this was still something that fit where we were heading. And then as part of that, we asked our planning consultants in Giffords-Webster to review what the 2008 study showed, because obviously a lot's changed since 2008 and whether it's still feasible. They provided a pretty complete written report back. Jill Boehm would have loved to have been here this evening, but she was at another meeting and didn't think she could be here before 8 o'clock. And because of the length of the agenda, I wasn't sure that we'd be here at 8 o'clock. So she'd be happy to come back at any of the following meetings to have a conversation. But I think having Giffords-Webster review this and kind of walk through a lot of the issues that came about from the triangle. I mean, and it's really Saginaw Street to Maple, with Saginaw Street between Hill and Maple, Dort Highway, that whole triangle area was really involved in this study. We've kind of expanded that north end to include getting, established with the business community, and then to talk about potentially sidewalks down Hill Road as another safety improvement as part of our overall non-motorized pathway plan. And all of those are kind of included in this. We've made some significant progress just in having this review done. From here, my recommendation, if after you guys have reviewed this, if you believe that this is still moving in the correct direction, if it's meeting what your direction was for us for the north end corridor, then it would be to make sure that Planner Smith, our planning consultant, Giffords-Webster, and the Planning Commission began to work through and flesh out some of the points that were brought up in this report from Jill. I think we can really make the difference. I think one of the things is just managing expectations, knowing that if we put this vision out there, we continue to incorporate aspects of that vision within your strategic plan, and we tell you what we're going to do and when we're going to do it by, It's not going to happen overnight. We need to manage expectations. But if we don't get it in a plan and start working it, 10 years from now, we'd be having the same conversation. And I think we can really revitalize this area. And it's one of the areas, was probably an original commercial corridor for us. It's been neglected for a while, and we've got some good opportunities to seek some things like the grant funding, to seek things like that revolving loan fund. But really, first thing we got to do is put our plan together, find out what's feasible. The other thing that's going on is, after we held that meeting with the business owners group, is that Executive Coordinator Melissa Roberts is sending out to them a questionnaire, basically a doodle poll, where they're going to go through and highlight, like, what are the top 4 things or top 5 things that are important to them based on all the topics of conversation that we reviewed, so that we'll present that back to the board as a finding, saying the business owners are telling us these are the 4 priority items, whether that be lighting or sidewalks, what's important to them, to make sure that we're doing the right things to boost their business. I know that lighting was a big one. I know that the sidewalks, multimodal transportation was a big topic of conversation. The potential for that revolving loan fund to be able to do facade improvements was well received. So let's see how they rank these things as they go through there. But it's very exciting and hopefully you all got a chance to read through that Saginaw Corridor Study recap. But if you're good with it, we will start to forward this to the Planning Commission now for their review and report back to you guys. And let's start to initiate these things. I mean, if we can pick those priority, not all of it. I mean, I love the idea, like, for example, in that corridor, it talks about having all of the utilities underground, so no wires, no poles. I love that idea, but is it really feasible? Is that a priority item for this board, knowing what the cost would be, knowing the length of time it would take us to do that? Are there more important things than getting the utility poles, gone from the area? That's the kind of conversations that we have to have. So hopefully, after you guys review this, any conversations tonight, and then just feedback to us is, are we heading in the right direction? Are we getting it right, or did we miss the boat here? We'd appreciate the feedback.
I think, in my mind, starting out with a small win, so that people can see that, that are invested in this area that we're talking about, they see a small win, now they're ready to take a bigger step and see that we're serious and that actually we can get something done working together. It was very enlightening towards the end of the meeting with those business owners that we had in here. One of them said, excuse me, I just want to say that, and I think that's kind of funny because you wouldn't think somebody would say this, but they're like, I would be for higher taxes if I knew the money was staying in this area. In other words, if we would call it probably a special assessment district, but they were saying that, hey, we probably would be for a special assessment district if we knew the money was going to be spent in our area. So when it comes to things like, what would be a small win that wouldn't be as costly as, putting all the utilities underground, and so balancing that with what they come up with on their priority list, the lighting thing might be, the easiest thing. I'm just thinking out loud here, but it might be one of the priorities that I think would be the easiest for us to tackle, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I like the study. I'm wondering if it'd be helpful to have Jill come in and go through it with us and just kind of flesh it out a little bit more. In the meantime, we can pass it along to the Planning Commission and say, hey, you guys, we need you to start looking at this and taking it into consideration. So I don't know if we could do both those simultaneously or.
Yeah, I think it's important to have again, the initial review is the vision from 2008. Is it still the same vision? Things have changed. We look at the world differently than we did in 2008. So some of those things, and it's even mentioned this, probably aren't important anymore. What about the formation of a corridor improvement authority? Mm-hmm. One of the things that Jill brought up in there, we discussed it prior when we were going through strategic planning. Much like a DDA, other than you can't levy a tax millage like a DDA can, but you can create that authority and pick up any incremental growth and put it back in for public good. So there, is that something that's worthwhile pursuing? It may take a while for the funding to come in, but if we're going to What about, she mentions like the obsolete businesses. One of the most frustrating things, I think, for all of us in this room, when you go through, you hit Maple and you're heading for Hill, and you look at the number of obsolete structures in there that there's no movement on it. Nothing's happening. They're not getting improved. What's the best way for us to address that? We can create policies and ordinance around there that you put a time frame on an obsolete structure, and if nothing's going on with that structure, then you begin to pay, either you can assist them in some way to get it removed, or you can basically put a tax on a property for obsolete if if it goes 18 months, or if the utilities are not connected, you pay a $1,500 a year or a monthly fee or whatever for every month that obsolete structure is there. It's a way of, trying to balance between a carrot and a stick, is being able to say, hey, we have this great revolving loan fund that will help you improve your facade or your parking lot or something. Also, if you're just going to leave an obsolete structure here for years and years on end, well, then there's going to be a penalty and you're going to pay. And it's a way of encouraging people to do something with the building, right? Those are all like minor things that we can look at to put in, and that would be with the assistance of the Planning Commission, for example.
Yeah, I like the idea of a CIA. I think we want to get together that group again of the business owners along the corridor, probably after we do the survey. And I think, that's something we ought to work towards, I believe. If nothing else, just as an organization to be kind of the vehicle for helping us to make things happen in here.
I suggest we bring Jill back from Giffords Webster at the next meeting, or when she can be here, the next one or the one after that, and bring this back up as a topic and have her share some information that she may have experienced in other municipalities about how that works, how the Corridor Improvement Authority could work, how some people who have put ordinances in place for obsolete, we start dealing with the obsolescence in the corridor. We map out and actually demarcate what we're going to consider as our north end corridor improvement area. So we can make some pretty good progress on this in a very short period of time, so that we can maybe, like you said, see some of those early wins in 2022 to get people engaged. The lighting, I think, would be huge, and that was a big topic of conversation. If we can change the lighting, that would be a significant improvement.
Well, I brought up to our DDA, and I was going to bring it up later, but, you get off the expressway at Oakland, where we mentioned the Auburn Hills overpass, but you get off at University Drive there, and at night you could read a book, sitting at the light there, because it's so well lit, and it's not just bright lights, it's very tastefully done, and that's something we could do in a few areas of our township. So, yes, Mr. Pike.
Just a couple of things on this. First of all, I think that CIA is a great idea. I don't know how we do that, or how we push that along, or how we make that happen, but that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Try to capture some funds to pay for some of this. I noticed in the notes, in the packet, that there was a reference to Triangle Village. Is that what this is being called, or where is that from?
In 2000, it was in the 2008
Oh, okay.
corridor study, where they really, if you look at that full 2008 corridor study, they've got different areas, like this is the Triangle Village, and this is going to have off-street parking and underground utilities and more of a corridor with plantings, or, pretty aggressive. But really, they're still referring all of this as to that, Hill Road to Maple, Saginaw. How far downhill you want to go is up to you. Does it go all the way to Fenton? Do we incorporate, all of that? That Saginaw Street corridor study pretty much focused right on this general area.
I think it's also important that we head this off at the pass before it gets bad. I'm not pointing my finger at any area, but maybe I am. Drive down Fenton Road, say from Hill all the way through Burton into Flint, and see what's happened to Fenton Road. And it shows you what can happen with vacant buildings and blight, and hopefully they're trying to do something about it. I know, you can't control some of that, but maybe if we can not only put a little tax on these vacant places, but really help them. I mean, if they need some assistance in some way, trying to get something to come in there, help them with economic development or help them in other ways. We don't want that to go down. We want it to go up.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Fike, and I do drive that corridor, if nothing else, just to see what's going on. But, part of my concern is that, we want people to realize there's a difference when they cross Maple Road coming south. And, one thing that you look at the businesses along Fenton Road that are in Grand Blanc Township, which would be on the west side of the street, and they're pretty much all occupied. And I won't go so far as to say they're all thriving, but it appears that they're doing business. Same with basically on Saginaw Street as well. That there's a couple of vacant buildings, or several, but the ones that are occupied with a business seem to do fairly good business, which helps attract other businesses. If they see that, hey, Grand Point Auto is packed with cars, maybe I need to look at locating my business in that area. But it is concerning when you cross over Maple Road to see the blight that starts. And my fear is that it could very quickly creep into our township if we don't maintain our code enforcement and start looking at how do we not just maintain, but how do we improve so that, and we said in our strategic plan, one of the things we want is when somebody crosses Maple Road, we want a distinctive difference that's noticeable. Mr. White?
Yeah, I guess on Saginaw, and maybe this goes to Fenton as well. I don't endure, which I almost never drive on because I live off Saginaw. But it seems like there's a lot of speculators who are just sitting on property waiting for somebody else to do something.
Right.
And then they're waiting on somebody else to do something, and they're all just sort of, I guess what policies can we put in place to kind of discourage the speculating where everyone's sort of waiting on everyone else to do something and then nobody's doing anything?
Well, as Mr. Lehman has said, I know one of the properties, for example, doesn't have utilities and is not connected to water. It costs some money to do that, but they are not going to be able to put a business in there without utilities. In fact, we aren't even going to rezone it without utilities, I don't believe. So, I'd be curious, and I'd like to have a discussion on, I'm interested in what Mr. Lehman has mentioned tonight, that I'd like to have further discussion on what could be put in place to, it's one thing if you're maintaining your property and what have you. It's another if you're just letting it look blighted and so.
It's a fine line to walk, but, people's personal property rights, they own the property and you do that, but it's also, it changes the face of your community. And you heard it tonight from a couple of trustees about, we've got examples right by us where you can drive and it can go either way. You want to create some policies and ordinance and opportunities around it's a carrot and a stick. We're trying to encourage someone to lift up that property, and whether that's through specific landscaping, whether it's through access rules, whether it's ordinance on obsolescence. There's ways to do it that are not as harsh. It's more about we're trying to encourage somebody to embrace it. The other thing I think we should probably do as a township is recognize when properties do improve.
Right.
And whether we recognize them here, ask them to come by, or provide a plaque. I just think it's a way of really sharing and showcasing a property that does that here, so that they get a little bit of free advertising, just to say, wow, we really appreciate it. Like the veterinary hospital or the veterinary clinic down on Saginaw, they did a phenomenal job with that.
Right.
Those kind of things, when you see them do that, it really should be recognized by the township. So it's just a way of encouraging others to follow suit.
I think we need to find a way to do that more frequently. In fact, on Saginaw Street, just south of Maple, on the west side of the street, the Sarah dealerships have put a significant amount of investment into that facility. It's not open to the public. It's for internal workings, but they've put millions investment into that building, which is tax base, right? But it's also telling us that, hey, somebody believes in this area. I mean, the Sarah dealerships just south of Hill Road are a major investment to our township, and they look beautiful. That blight that's north of Maple Road could creep not only south of Maple Road, but could creep south of Hill Road. And my thought is we need to keep it north of Maple Road. No slight to our neighbors to the north, but we need to make sure that we're maintaining our property and make a significant difference to people when they cross that Maple Road. So I think a lot of good ideas, but I think it's something that's going to take a multi-pronged approach, the carrot and the stick, as well as working with the businesses here and also recognizing the ones that are investing here and improving their place. I know even since our meeting with the business owners here, I've seen a number of businesses paint the outside of their buildings since our meeting. Car wash redid their whole exterior.
Looks a lot better.
Yeah, and a couple
That's
other,
right where I live, literally
Yeah.
right there, so it looks much better.
and a couple others actually painted their buildings as well. So, it might be, sometimes you have to just resell people on, you start, you go to an area so often, you just get used to whatever it is. And sometimes you need some fresh eyes and anyways. So it sounds like we're going in the right direction, but we'd like to have Jill at one of the meetings coming up. And also we can forward this to the Planning Commission and ask them to put their eyes on it and give us some thoughts.
I'll have an invitation out to her, and we'll have her in within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, anybody else have any thoughts on that? Okay. Next item C, is our budget discussion. Mr. Lemata?
So we've had it pushed out to the board since September 1st. We're now on November 2nd. We've had the department heads walk through their requests for 2022. We've had the DPW budget presented, and again, we have to adopt it before the end of the year. If the board's comfort level is that you feel like we're prepared to move forward, then my recommendation there's a few changes, a few updates to it. Primarily, there's a couple things in capital that would change. We also had a request from the clerk's office based upon new information coming out. We're going to increase their budget $25,000 to be able to handle with all this redistricting that you've heard about. They're going to have to send out new voter application or voter ID
Voter registration cards, yes.
out to every address. So we're going to have to increase their budget by $25,000. So we've got a few tweaks we'll do. We'll republish those and have them to you for November 16th. We'll update the hard copy pages to include with your budget packets that you have now. And then my recommendation would be if all things are comfortable there, we would advertise and have the Truth in Taxation and Budget Adoption scheduled for November 30th meeting.
Sounds good to me. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Is that after Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they're moving Thanksgiving. I'm just kidding.
Same time every year.
The,
I thought it was Christmas they were moving, but.
yeah. Wait till the ships can unload. Yeah. So Clerk Robertson, you're having to mail out new cards to everybody.
That's correct. We were informed a few weeks ago by the state that they would not be covering the cost of that. And the Redistricting Commission obviously is not only redoing the maps, which of course are going to change boundaries for State House and State Senate and congressional districts, but also they're renumbering, or at least in the maps that we've seen so far, the numbering is significantly different than we've had the last two cycles, for example, last two redistricting plans. So the combination of variables make it imperative that we increase the postage budget, because we're going to have to mail out those new voter registration cards, ID cards.
Okay. Any questions on the budget? So, Mr. Lehman, we'll go ahead with the scheduling the truth and taxation hearing then.
We'll get the notices prepared. Laddie can work on that and have them to the clerk's office, so that we get them posted in plenty of time.
Okay. Very good. Under new business, item A, the board will consider a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2021-2, which increases the township's sewer rate from $12.24 per REU per month to $12.73 per REU per month. Director Sears.
Good evening again. Before you tonight is a proposed sewer rate increase that we've discussed a few different times at the board level. This comes out of our budget development process that we do annually every year. We review our rates. What you may or may not know is we are required by law that our rates have to support the operations of the water and sewer department. There are possibilities where if it were underfunded, the general fund would possibly have to pick up that cost, which obviously we cannot do. Right now, showing in our financial plan, the sewer department is using a little bit of fund balance in 2022, even with this rate increase, which is okay for right now. But what we want to do is in the future, keep up with our rates, make sure that they're sustaining our water and sewer department so that the fund balance can be used for capital projects like it's meant to do. Our fund balance obviously comes from funds left over at the end of the year, if we have a net expenditure over revenue, and also from our capital fees that we collect from new businesses and residents. So this rate increase equates to about $3 a quarter for a single-family home. And it's in Grand Blanc Township, our sewer rate, although Genesee County also has sewer rates on your water and sewer bills, our sewer rate is one amount for everybody every month. So in this case, right now it's $12.24 in REU. That's a residential equivalency unit. And that basically is it's a mathematical equation that says 1 REU is equal to, I think right now it's 3.5 people per household. It does change nationwide as the industry changes and our population changes, but in that, so that's one home. Businesses can sometimes be, 2, 3, 4, or hundreds of REUs. So we're proposing it's a 4% increase from $12.24 per REU to $12.73 per REU. And like I said, it's about a $3 increase per quarter, not per month. I can answer any questions anyone might have.
Mr. White?
When was the last time that we raised it?
Sewer rates have not been increased since I've been here. And I've been here for almost 7 years. We have increased water rates. I believe the last time we did that was 2017. We have had sewer increase from Genesee County 5 years ago, and we have heard that there may be another one coming from them this year, but we haven't officially received notification of that yet.
I know at the county level, the state requirements are, and even here with water, the requirements the state is putting on us are getting to be more costly.
Absolutely. And so we all have to develop asset management plans for our water and sewer departments. And basically what that shows is that we know what's in our infrastructure, how old it is, and we have to have a plan to maintain it and take care of it. With that asset management plan, we have to prove that we're supporting financially our water and sewer system. There are so many municipalities out there that are wildly underfunded, that their rates don't nearly support the level of operations that they need to efficiently maintain. We're very lucky here to have the support of our community to keep our infrastructure maintained, because they know the value in keeping it running so that there's no interruptions in service to people.
So that asset management plan that you mentioned, for example, one of the issues that the city of Flint had when they had the issue with their lead, I believe, was that a lot of their information was on index cards.
Correct.
And, in terms of trying to locate where the lead lines were and what have you. But not only do you have to have your plan, you have to show, like you said, how we're going to pay to maintain it, right?
Correct, yeah. If your asset management plan shows that you have, a defunct sewer system, you have to show that you have a plan to fix it and how you're going to pay for it. And the state's not going to give you any money to pay for it. So,
On average, what are some of our oldest sewers here in the township?
our sewers aren't any older than the late 60s. Actually, Genesee County put in some of our very first sewers in Grambling Township, purchased them or took them over from Genesee County. We don't have anything older than that, though. So 50 years old is some of our oldest sewers that we have here, which actually isn't that old, believe it or not. That's all clay pipe. Every year, we have a company comes in and they review our video footage of the sewer system because we clean and televise our sewer system about every 6 years. We get to the whole community. It's been a little bit slower in recent years because we've been trying to target certain areas, so we haven't been just continuously flowing through the community. It slows us down a little bit. But a company comes in, reviews all that footage, and makes recommendations for maintenance that we need to do. Most of the time, it's putting liners in the system. If there's cracks that are, letting water, surface water in, or, just something that looks like it could be a potential major defect in the future, we'll put a liner in, or we'll grout the seams. If we see a seam that's leaking badly or has a big calcium buildup on it, we'll clean that out and they'll spray grout in it to seal it.
So it's been at least 7 years since we had an increase at all.
Yes, yep. In the sewer rates. What's that?
Commodity charges.
Correct.
Okay, any thoughts, any further discussion? Okay, thank you, Mr. Sears.
Thank you.
Dr. Reardon makes the motion that we
Approve the increase.
approve the increase, or approve the first reading of ordinance 2021-2.
That's correct. That's the proper motion, is the approve the first reading of ordinance 2021-2.
Yep.
Okay. And that is motion by Raridan, supported by
Hugo.
Hugo. Okay. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item B, the board will consider a motion to approve the purchase and implementation of the active net system for the cost of $29,325 and $6,600 for additional years, and for the superintendent to sign and execute all contracts. Mr. Lingata?
Before you move forward, just want to remind the board, this was the first read for that sewer ordinance. You'll see it again in 2 weeks at your meeting. You'll be asked to adopt it as a second read and adoption, and then it will be published. It takes effect 30 days after publication, or it takes effect immediately. Okay.
All right, thank you.
The next item, come on up, Patrick. We've had some frustrations with the rec desk, which was our software for Parks and Recreation scheduling. It was actually purchased under the old Parks and Rec Commission. These guys have done a tremendous amount of research to look to find something that would be much more user-friendly on both sides, both our side and on the actual residents or folks who are trying to schedule for a program side. And Patrick, you can take it from there.
So like Superintendent Lemata said, we inherited a system that had previously been in use. We have outgrown the capabilities of the current system, and the customer service facing side is kind of clunky and hard for people to use. And on our side, being able to run reports and being able to actually make changes right now. Anytime we want to make changes to how the site looks or add things, with the exception of like programs, content, like our announcement page, we actually have to email Rec Desk, and they have to do that. One thing with ActiveNet, we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to incorporate it into our branding. Some exciting things for us is like with league management, okay? So this is gonna help us when we do kickball and softball, and we can actually do free agency. So, if Scott wants to play, Supervisor Bennett wants to play, and he knows nobody or that, he can actually sign up, and then we can assign him to teams. So that's a pretty cool aspect of it. Another important,
Free agency,
yeah.
kickball.
Yeah.
I want
So,
to explain to Clerk Robertson just how serious this kickball teams take their sport.
very, very. Well, you see the trophy that the township team has over on the counter when you come in.
I remember I was in the rooting section of the kickball team, and they played with great spirit.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is our senior services division has Rec Desk. Our recreation division has Rec Desk, 2 separate licenses. One thing that we'll be doing going forward is that we're combining it into one license, and actually we're going to save a little bit of money every year on our yearly fees on that. So that's going to be something good that's going to come out of this, too.
I've got a couple of questions, Patrick.
Sure.
Mr. Linian. So will this software, would it be able to tell us where people are coming from in terms of being able to say, how many?
Yeah, residency. So it does have an option. We've talked with Assistant Director Kimmer about it. So what we're able to do is we're able to import an Excel spreadsheet that specifically shows the addresses within the township for a certain zip code. So, for instance, 48439, which we share with the city, it will be able to automatically make those. Right now, our administrative assistant is actually going through and looking at addresses and streets that she thinks may be outside the township. She's actually Googling them to see. So that takes quite a bit of time on our part.
So the software should be able to help
Yep,
us with
yeah, do it automatically,
Okay.
so.
One question too, it's not necessarily totally directed towards this, but I see, in the packet that we're able to promote and market different events through it, right?
Yep, yeah, so we'll have some options with it. One of the things is we're going to be able to integrate it to the new website that's coming into. So we'll be able to embed it in, so it'll be a seamless transition. We'll have a calendar and that sort of thing with all the events.
Because I hadn't seen for a while the senior newsletter, and I saw that, and I'm blown away by the number of things going on there that I wasn't aware of, and I'm thinking somehow we got to make people aware of those things.
Well,
Not that I would qualify.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing, along with this system and something that we've talked with the executive coordinator about is, going forward, the senior services division's kind of been in their own silo over the years. We're trying to bring that back into Parks and Rec, where we can share resources and everything from instructors to, when we're looking at, rentals, you want to rent out space, well, you're going to see everything. You're going to see our park, you're going to see the senior center. So, we're trying to do that as much as possible.
Good.
And we are the busiest senior center in the county, so.
Very good. We keep track of all the stats on the attendance and all
Yep,
participation.
yep. Last week, almost every day, we were seeing over 100 people come through the building in a day.
I went in there a couple weeks back, and I learned something that I didn't even know existed. It's called quilling.
Yep.
Not quilting, but quilling. And I was blown away by the artwork that the seniors, the women in there were doing, and very very impressive. What's that?
A pen?
It actually, no, it's actually with like X-Acto knife kind of thing. You got to go and see it or look it up online, but quilling it. These pictures and things that they were making were just absolutely beautiful. And they enter them into contests and what have you, but I encourage you to take a look at it online if nothing else, but beautiful work that they're doing. So it looks like from the people shaking their heads here in the audience, several of you are familiar with it, but.
So is the motion in order, Mr.
It is.
Supervisor? And I will make that motion on item 7B.
Okay. Support by Dr. Reardon.
Support. Okay, Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Linehan. Item C, the board will consider a motion to approve the purchase of a plow truck cutting edges from Winter Equipment Company for $11,061.70 and authorize Township Superintendent to execute the PO.
I'll make that motion.
Okay? I'll second. Support by Mr. Fike. Any discussion, any questions, Mr. Sears, who's here?
I just have a quick question, and the only reason, it's related, and it was like the lead story in the Free Press yesterday, and they said basically the state is not, there's not gonna be enough people to drive these plows and salt trucks. Are we at any issue?
No, we're lucky enough. We have a very reliable crew of employees, so we're good.
And just so that maybe some of the new board members don't realize this, and probably a lot of the public still don't, but actually the plowing of the streets is not something that is our responsibility. However, years ago, the township started doing it because residents were tired of waiting an extended period of time for the subdivision streets, I'll put it that way, to be plowed. The county does continue to plow the main roads, and we actually get out there much quicker than what the county would. If we waited for the county to come and plow the side roads, we'd probably be waiting for a week or more in some cases, or maybe never getting them plowed. So we took on the responsibility years ago, and our DPW does a phenomenal job maintaining the plows and what have you, and it's taken out of our general budget, not taken out of water and sewer or anything like that, but it is an expense to us. We have gone to the county a number of times and asked to be reimbursed for the cost. The answer's always been the same, no. They tell us we don't have to do it. Well,
Right.
our residents have come to expect it, and so that's why we do it. So that's kind of the short story on,
Spoken like Clark Kent.
yeah. Yeah, one of our trustees in the past, and I'm sure Mr. Sears still tracks what that expense
Every year.
is. What that true expense is for plowing the roads, but, so that's one thing, Mr. White, that we'll have that maybe some of the state doesn't have this year is our streets plowed. So,
Very good.
Okay,
That,
so-
With that thought.
Yep, go ahead, Mr.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Future agenda items, one thing that I'd like the board to consider an upcoming board meeting is I would like to talk a little bit about a resolution at one of our meetings with regard to recognizing the current director of the Genesee County Road Commission, Mr. Pavandi. He's doing an outstanding job, and I believe that we need to show support for Mr. Pavandi. He could retire any moment, but we would love him to stay on because he's really doing an exceptional job, in my opinion. So just if we could make note that we can discuss that. Anybody else have anything for future agenda? I don't know, Mr. Lehman, any thoughts on what we want to cover next meeting for strategic plan discussion?
I'm wide open of where you guys want to go. One of the items that I would suggest, because it will be timely as we move forward with the budget adoption, is a discussion of OPEB funding. We have planned for it in the fiscal year 2022 budget, but I think it's one of those things, and then we can also discuss, at least start the conversation. You know, we've done a really good job of addressing OPEB. We still have the police department defined benefit pension plan. We can provide a little bit of an update based upon the most recent MERS report on the defined benefit plan that comes out in June every year, the end of June every year. Just to update the new board. I don't think we've had a lot of conversation about it, but it will give you an idea of what we as a township pay, what the employees of the police department pay towards their pension, where we're at, where our funding level is at, because I think that's something that you will be discussing and providing direction to your negotiating team next year as we go back into negotiations with the three police unions on the next round of contracts.
That's coming up again already. Why, it seems like we just did that, doesn't it?
Did.
Yes, Mr. Reardon.
At some point, are we going to discuss the 60-40 split for the buildings we own 50-50?
Okay, I know that Mr. Laddie's been working on some things with regard to the city, and so I want to check with him and see where we're at with that
He's
discussion.
supposed to provide some background information on when that occurred and what our agreements look like on the senior center, library.
Right, so,
Kind of go from there.
well, we should check in. Mr. Laddie is not available this evening, but we can check in with him before the next board meeting and see where he's at
The
on.
next few meetings. I just want to make
Okay,
sure that
yep,
we're.
okay. No, thanks for reminding us. Anything else that we want to make sure we cover in upcoming meetings? Okay, board reports. Ms. Hugo, anything with Planning Commission?
So we just had a workshop last week with Lou Bender, and it went really well. We have a meeting this Thursday. We have a few public hearings, and then we also have the preliminary site plan review for the new corporate headquarters for Fessler Bowman.
Phenomenal. Great. Okay, Mr. White, Zoning Board of Appeals.
We also had that seminar last week. The November meeting is canceled because there's no business.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Fike, anything with Metro Alliance?
Our November meeting has also been canceled.
Okay. Mr. Reardon, anything, please? Okay. Treasurer Kilmer, anything to report on? Okay. Clerk Robertson, you have an election that you're conducting right now as we speak?
It is the polls are closing it's 8 o'clock, so 7:58 in 2 minutes, excuse me. As I mentioned in previous reports, we have just one precinct in Grambling Township that's involved in this election. It is a renewal millage for the Goodrich School District, and only precinct 10 is involved. So everything has gone swimmingly today, and I expect that it will for the balance of the evening, and we'll just tie it up in a nice little bow.
Well, it speaks very highly for you and your department that you can be at the board meeting and the election runs
Well,
smoothly.
I give full credit to my very capable deputy and the staff that is, and the folks who are sequestered as we speak, doing the AV counterboard, and the people that have worked at the precinct all day today. So all is well.
Well, and we want to thank the volunteers that run the elections too, that
Yes, of course.
the time they put in. So, thank you. With regard to my report, just a couple of, I've got some introductory music, as you can see. But with regard to our Grambling Township DDA, I'm not sure how much of this Mr. Lehman will report on, but I know he has plenty to report on as well. But so I'll mention that congratulations to the township and for Mr. Lehman's work on the grant that we received. I'll let him give the details for the Baldwin Road corridor. One of the things that we've been talking about is widening Baldwin Road and making it an all-season road. So it's from basically the Dort Highway extension all the way to a little bit past, well, it was going to go to the Trim Pines Farm property, but now we're working to make it go a little bit further so that the Tech Village property would be included. Started out with probably about 1.6 million, Mr. Lehman does, and now it's up over 5 million. But we've figured out ways to pay for that, and the money's not coming out of the general fund for that. But the Dort extension they're working on it. They have been working on it for the past month. You can see the people out there, the pathways being constructed. They've figured out a way to get rid of the water. Belsey Road, the bridge opened up, which I know a lot of people are thankful, and probably especially the neighbors in Gemstone subdivision that had an ongoing parade of cars driving through there. And I appreciate the patience of the neighborhood there, because it was a lot of traffic coming through that area. Grand Blanc Road, it looks like it's ready to open, that roundabout. I keep snooping over there, and it looks like it's ready to open. So hopefully any day now we'll see something happen there. With regard to the water situation, Mr. Sears gave me a total for what it looked like in terms of rain totals that we've had. And I think just since July, August, September, we nearly had the same amount of rain that we have annually here in the area. We had a fairly dry beginning part of the year, but we made up for it like in a 3-month period. So we're talking like 25 inches of rain in that spread of time. So if people have water sitting around their property, it's no wonder given the amount of rain that we've had. But we have a couple of neighborhoods that have continually have issues, and they've gone to the Drain Commission, and I mentioned previous board meetings. We're waiting for some board of determination meetings to happen. So we'll probably find out about those shortly. Jumping back to the DDA and Baldwin Road, though, the DDA is really moving forward with a lot of great projects. Besides the Baldwin Road project, Chief Burdette made a presentation to the DDA board with regard to the South Fire Department on Baldwin Road, and the DDA has agreed to assist with the upgrade of that building, and I'm sure we'll be getting a report from Chief Burdette here in the next meeting or two on what that will include, but it will be an upgrade to that facility, and we'll be able to house firefighters there on a regular basis, but it will actually improve the look of it as well. One of the things that I brought up to the DDA, that while we're spending all this money on the road, that we do need to improve the lighting along Baldwin Road in that corridor, so that the best time to improve it is when we're building the road, rather than trying to go back in and put wire in the ground. But we want to make it something appealing, but also, because if we're going to have a $10 million headquarters building, their office building there, as well as Tech Village, which is a $1 billion development. When people get off Holly Road off the expressway, or come down Saginaw Street and turn on to Baldwin, we want people to realize that, hey, there's something special going on here, just like we do at the entrance, that we're talking about here in the north part. So we're going to be looking at a plan for lighting as well. But a lot of exciting stuff going on in the township with development that Mr. Lehman has had a number of meetings, as well as a number of other staff here. Everything from meeting on additional pathways through properties to rezoning of property and development. So the staff here is very active on meeting with potential businesses coming to this township, even residential developments looking at starting up projects, and not just one or two houses, but entire developments. So I wish I could say all those things will happen, but even if 10% of them happen, we'll see continued growth in our township. So thanks to our department heads and staff and Mr. Limita for shepherding all these potential developers through the township, and really making Grand Blanc Township known as being open for business. And I think that message is out there, given the number of people that are calling. We have a developer calling from the west side of the state, hey, I want to come and meet with you. We've got people here that see that something's going on, they want to be part of it. So There isn't a corner of the township that isn't being looked at for something, so lots of good stuff. Superintendent Limita?
Thanks for the information on the DDA, getting that out to everybody. We really do have a great DDA board. These guys have been very supportive of what can we do, how can we move this thing forward. One of the things that was recently approved was the rail siding at King Steel. They're talking about 800 cars a week that they'll be doing offloading, onloading for there. They did get approved. Eagle approved it, and so that's something new. One of the things when you're looking at multimodal transportation that puts you on the map is being able to, like we are, I-69, I-75, 23, north, south, east, west. We've got the third busiest airport within 10 minutes of here. Now we have a rail siding. It's just another thing that we get to advertise for Grand Blanc Township, why you should do business in Grand Blanc Township. The DDA has embraced that. I think we told you that. We're in the process right now of filming a video about why you should choose Grand Blanc Township. The branding campaign, globally positioned for your success. You use the Google GPS pin in there, and I think that's going to be big. We've gotten some testimonials from folks who chose to do business here. I can't wait to roll that thing out. In fact, I think Mr. Bennett, you and I are supposed to shoot a spot for that tomorrow, and I think we may be the last ones, and they'll start to wrap this up. I can't wait to be able to play it. Should be about a 4-minute video. We'll have that on our new website, but it's a great way to direct people to come and do business here. So that's really an exciting opportunity. They have been very supportive. They are pretty well funded. Thank to Magna for locating here and keeping those 600 jobs here, because they're a big reason why our DDA is funded. Many go 10 years or more before they actually have enough money in the funds to be able to accomplish anything. We're able to come out of it. We've only been a DDA for 2 years, and we're already prepared to fund. The $1.7 million that we got from the TEDF grant is huge. That was based on the number of jobs that Fessler Bowman is bringing here, 112 jobs into the township as they build their headquarters. That's amazing. The fact that we got $1.7 million for that project is amazing. They told us they had $6.9 million from now through their fiscal year, which would end for October 2022. And we got $1.7 million of that. So our application fared very well, and again, hats off, thanks to Roe, our consulting engineers, for assistance with that, but hats off to Fessler Bowman. Without their assistance, we wouldn't have got it. One of the ways we attract that money is we take, and if we can use it as a carrot to bring somebody in, and we can take those number of jobs, then we apply for those federal grants, and we say we're bringing 100 jobs, we're bringing 200 jobs. Typically, a job is worth about $4,000. Obviously, this one came through a lot more, but I think it was just the need, the necessity of the project. It just scored very, very well. Came out to about $5.4 million now. We did take a trip down to Lansing recently. Thank you to Clerk Robertson for making those contacts with us, and Supervisor Bennett, myself, and Clerk Robertson were able to go down and talk to Senator Ruth Johnson about if there's any additional funding that would help offset some. Right now, between the federal grants through MDOT, the Road Commission's participation, and the DDA is looking at about $2.6 million that they would bond and fund. We asked if they could find an additional $500,000, get the DDA portion down to about $2.1 million for that upgrade to a Class A road on Baldwin Road. It's all about mixing that money and getting it together so that we can afford to do these projects. The DDA is receptive and they are on board. Of course, none of that moves forward unless you guys agree, because when the DDA wants to go out and bond for this money, they're really pledging the full faith and credit of Grand Blanc Township. So it does require a resolution by this body to allow that to move forward. So that will be coming, towards you, but we expect that project to begin in 2022 with a 2023 completion, which is going to be huge. Like I said, Fessler Bowman needs the all-season road in order to run their trucks out of that property. Fessler Bowman, speaking of that, November 4th. So this Thursday, they will be at site plan review for the Planning Commission to show their project. When you get a chance to see that, man, it is really a beautiful project. It's glad to have it here. $10 million investment, headquarters building. Jim Malinich, when he was here, said, one thing, he's from Genesee County, wanted to stay in Genesee County, but they could have gone to their, North Carolina. They've got facilities in Tennessee. They got facilities in Louisiana. They chose Grand Blanc Township, so we're real excited to see that come to fruition here. It also brings in a lot of additional money to the DDA so that we can continue to do that public good. And again, the DDA did commit to up to $400,000 or $500,000 upgrade to the Baldwin Road Fire Station so that we can remodel that building and it will be prepared to staff 24/7. We don't have it budgeted for 24/7 at this time, but we are running crews out of there 2 of the 3 shifts in a day, with the idea that eventually, as this development spurt continues across the southern end of the township, the 24/7 makes sense. Chief, I think you showed that it cut nearly 3 minutes off response times on the south end by having that staff. That's huge. Fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. That tells you why it's so important that we have that fire station there as we begin that build out on the south end. A lot of things have to happen. It includes our participation with the Kersley Creek Interceptor Sewer Project in order to get the build out of that southern area. Tech Village, we had a great meeting today. The prior investors who were here, who walked away last year, are back at the table. We're real excited where that's going. Too early to announce yet. Like I always say, I believe it when I see someone pushing dirt. But I have a feeling that we'll see someone pushing dirt in 2022. And that's really an exciting opportunity for us because that thing is going to be a game changer for the county. I couldn't be more excited. And it isn't new faces. It's the same familiar faces that we worked with from a couple years ago who walked away last year, who are back at the table, and we're putting together a nice package of incentives with the DDA, and I'm just really excited about that opportunity. Looking forward to it. Also Thursday, Dag Technologies, the company that is taking their work that they're doing currently in China, and they've been looking for an opportunity. It's a reuse of one of the Magna buildings. We're meeting with them this Thursday afternoon, Planner Smith and myself, to start that process of looking at what they're proposing to do. That's 50 jobs that are also coming into Grand Blanc Township, and a great reuse of a former Magna building, so we're excited to see them coming on board. So it's just been a lot of great economic development activity lately. It makes our jobs fun around here because we love to sit and talk about, how do we prepare for this? We've been planning and preparing for this for a long time, and we've put all of the pieces together, and it's all finally coming to fruition. So very exciting opportunity to be, just a good time to be a part of Grand Blanc Township because there's amazing opportunities that are coming our way that are game changers. One last thing, Board of Determination. You asked about that with all the flooding. Melissa set that up today. I think it's November 23rd. There will be a Board of Determination here in the auditorium to at least address one of those drainage issues.
Okay. I'll get with you because I need to know which one that is. And
that's all I got.
And those jobs that are coming are very well-paying jobs as well, that they're not...
These are very well-paying jobs
Yes.
that are coming here.
So I know that we get hammered because we don't have enough restaurants and retail, but the jobs that these industries are bringing here are jobs where I would venture to guess that they're higher paying than most jobs that you could get in Genesee County. So we're bringing people here that are going to be buying homes, spending money, and adding to our community. So
They've already got my application in.
well, from the sounds of it, some of them are very lucrative positions. So I know Mr. Clerk Robertson had his hand up here.
Just a quick question for Chief Burdett. Burdett, the staffing of the...
We're going to be on to Mr. Burdett, to Chief Burdett in just a moment. He's going to give a report.
Okay,
Well, at least I have it
this
on
says,
the agenda.
it says information only, so that means he submitted it. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's,
Go
so,
ahead.
just a quick question. Does the staffing of the Baldwin Road Station, does that improve our ISO rating? Or does it do anything favorable for that? I mean, it's okay if it doesn't, I was just curious.
To be honest with you, I wish it would. Unfortunately, ISO has a steadfast rule that if you live more than 5 miles away from an active fire station, your rating is at a 10, no matter what. But it doesn't change anything as far as in that area. It's still a 4Y, which is where most of the community is right now.
Okay, I was just curious.
Reducing the response times, I would reduce,
Well, we'd have to petition to ISO to come back in and do another audit.
Right.
And we just completed one, so.
how often do they do fire department?
They'll do it about every 10 years.
Yeah, we can petition to get them back out.
Sure, we can, sure.
We do it for commercial buildings, to get them to come back out, because if it reduces their rating, it definitely improves insurance rates, so,
Sure, we can have them come back out.
yeah. We'll wait till we're open down there, right?
Give us a little more time to get some more data put together.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Mr. Fike?
I just had a question for Dennis. Dag Technologies, what do they make?
So this, what they're going to be doing, they make other things, but what the proposal for Grand Blanc Township is actually like wheels, automotive industry wheels, and it's wheel castings and painting.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I see now it says information only. I thought you were coming up to give just information, but, so. Okay, one thing too that I just want to mention for future agenda item, that I've been receiving a lot of emails, and there's an email campaign for us to pave the shoulders of any roads here that we're paving in the township. And the emails say at all costs, or at any cost, we need to pave them. Well, I would like to just talk a little bit about, at a future board meeting, a little bit about the pathways that we currently have underway and what the costs are that are associated with those, and what our future plan is. Somebody told me recently, they're like, when you have 10 priorities, you don't have any priorities. And I want to make sure that we do have priorities when it comes to pathways, but if we try to do everything all at once, we have no priority. And I know as a township, we have prioritized what we want to see done. While the expense for, paving the shoulders might not be all that great, we're trying to put together, $100,000 here and $100,000 there to match some grants. But we have some expensive projects coming up. But we are making headway on the pathways. I would venture to guess more headway than most other municipalities in the state at this point. I think we figured maybe $3 to $4 million is being spent on pathways in the next year alone here in Grand Blanc Township. So that's no small amount of change. Yes, Mr. Fike?
And we have a very aggressive grid folks, and they're great.
Yes.
I love how they're so into it.
Right.
But I would love also some kind of a comprehensive, all right, here's where our pathways are, here's what we got going, here's perhaps the future. I don't know where all these pathways are and, what the status is, so that would be most welcome. Just
Maybe just an update
What do we got? I mean, because we're doing more with pathways, like you said, than anybody around here.
So maybe we just need to identify more clearly what we are doing and what our priorities are for the next several years. We have Mr. Linehan, our Parks Director. Come on up, Mr. Linehan.
So next year, one of the things that we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing, so probably about 10, 15 years ago, was it? There was a trails and pathway master plan done between the township and the city. We will be updating the plan for us next year to try to, get those priorities and that going forward. So I would expect to see that done probably by fall next year. So.
Okay. Well, I think just to put everybody's mind at ease with whether it's the people writing the letters or what have you, that we are addressing pathways, and I think we're doing it at a pretty rapid speed, but we're allies in this project to get more pathways. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, supported by trustee Fike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We are adjourned at 8:20 in the evening.
Board members, just to let you know, we are planning our summer